First thing I want to talk about will take about 20 minutes, and that is the way I try to use technology to eliminate the fear factor. And there are lots of people who do this. I'm not just the only one. There are a bunch of people in the math department that have been doing this for a while. And I noticed that a lot of times students need help when I'm not available. And so I noticed that, for example, I go to bed really early and my students basically don't go to bed, or go to bed the next day or something. So it's 3 in the morning and they can't figure out how to do a math problem, the homework problem, and they have nobody to help them, and I mean nobody. And so one of the things that I've always been interested in is online remediation, and more than just searching on YouTube a problem that's similar to a problem they have to do in the homework. Actually doing a problem for them, posting it, and not telling the rest of the class that you've done the problem for a particular student. Okay, and there are a number of good things, good reasons to do that. So let's talk about some of the students' fears in math classes and general strategies that the instructors can use to eradicate those fears, or at least assuage them, right? So students' fears in mathematics courses having to do with notes. This is big because, as you know, I'm sure when students come in to get tutoring, a lot of you probably say, where are your notes on this? Or where's the textbook? Because that's an important question to ask. Where have you seen somebody do a problem like this before? And a lot of the students don't have the right notes, didn't get the notes, mess up during the notes. So this is what I'm talking about here. Some of the students' fears are, I can't listen and take notes at the same time. That's important. A lot of students want to see what you're doing, but you're moving so fast because we have to get through the curriculum. They don't catch anything, or they're afraid not to catch everything. I can't fully understand abstract mathematical concepts during the lecture. That is true. I mean, even when I go see a talk on a subject that I've studied in mathematics, I can't truly understand it on the perfect time frame. In other words, I don't understand it 100% real time. I have to take notes and go home and think about a lot of it. I may understand 70% of it, but the particulars I might not get till later. And I'm a mathematician, so it's a little bit odd that I'd be saying that, but it's true for every level of mathematics. It's especially true for our students in college mathematics courses. They think that they should be able to understand it the way they understand the lecture in psychology, right? They understand every word of the lecture in psychology. They understand perhaps 50% of a Math 111 lecture, depending on what it is, okay? And so they have to find a way to come back to it and figure out, oh, what are we talking about? Oh, that's what we're talking about. And notes are the way to do that. So I can't process as fast as the teacher teaches. That's common on every level of mathematics. You cannot possibly process as fast as the math problem is usually going. Okay. So I sometimes make mistakes in my notes. That happens. We make mistakes I make mistakes when I'm writing the notes on the overhead. I mean, not the overhead, the symposium, because that's how I do it. I usually write. I don't do chalk and talk anymore. I write the notes on my symposium. I save it as a PDF, and those are notes that they can refer to on the Blackboard site later on if they miss something. So that's what I do here. In some classes, especially those, and you'll appreciate this, like in Math 111 and Math 153, there are so many definitions involved in those courses, right? So many definitions, so many different ideas. If you had them write out in old-fashioned chalk and talk, right, you'll never get through the lecture. So what's something you can do? You can do guided notes. That's what I do. I type up guided notes that have a lot of the theorems, a lot of the definitions ahead of time. And then some people call them skeleton or structured notes. They're the same thing. And then I post them to Blackboard prior to class. And then they're filled out. We fill them out together in class, just like notes. And usually the students will print them out. And I always have a couple copies in case they ran out of printer ink, right? That happens a lot. Like how many people, it's like, oh no, the printer ink again, crazy. So I'll have a few copies for them. And these are for those classes, like I said, Math 111, 153. And then we save those to Blackboard fully filled out. They can refer to them later. Now I don't do this with all classes because in my algebra-based courses, what's going to happen if you have all the notes online? They're not going to come, right? Because in the math department, we don't have an attendance policy per se, other than we tell you should come to class, right? But it's not like the English department in which the three absences they're out or something like that. It's something wild like that, The math department doesn't have a departmental attendance policy, so if you come and show up for the tests and turn in all the quizzes or whatever you have to do, you get the credit if you pass them. Okay, so the reason I don't post notes for everything is that I want my 083 students to come to class, right? And even when I write them on the symposium electronically, I don't save them. They go away, right? They just disappear. I don't save them. Okay. So here's an example of guided notes. You probably even helped a student with this problem. This is from Math 111. 6 players are to be selected from a 25-player Major League Baseball team to visit schools to support a summer reading program. And how many ways can this selection be made? Okay, so you remember this. This is a combinations problem, right? And so this is basically the work for it. And notice how I've worked it out. This is taken from the Blackboard site after I've already saved the notes back to the Blackboard site. And we do a little arithmetic down here. We show them the formula, and then we figure out the answer, right? Now notice how the colors kind of tell a story, right? The different colors. I didn't use a lot of colors here, but the idea that you can use different colors with the symposium, that really helps our students. And I'm going to get rid of that because we're going to restart later. Okay. Same situation as above, but we want, and so again down here, this is what a selection from the guided notes would look like. It would take so long to write this out in their notes, just even these couple sentences about the setup of the problem. So you waste class time that way. And so this helps the students. When at the end of the semester, I'll tell you this one too. This is another Math 111, classic problem from statistics. We're going to use the 68, 95, 99.7 rule to talk about the percentage of people with IQ scores above or below a certain number, okay? And so here, look, we've done some area subtraction here, which is really a nice thing to show the students before we teach them about z-scores and how you can find exactly the percentage of area in a certain range. But notice how the area subtraction you can highlight using color. Again, that's saved to the Blackboard site, and they can go back to that. So what about, this is the one that really helps students, I think, the most, and the fears in mathematics class is about practice and homework. Because as I tell my students, I can watch, has anybody ever seen anybody juggle chainsaws? Like, no? Or bowling balls, have you seen that one? You guys don't watch enough YouTube. What's wrong? What are you doing, working? You're working all the time. Okay, so if you ever, search YouTube and ask for somebody, search for somebody juggling bowling balls. It looks really easy. It really does. The way like that. I could watch that video all day, and I am no closer to juggling bowling balls at all. Okay, I'll break a finger at least, or a toe and a finger. So I tell my students things like that, but the story changes because nobody has ever seen anybody juggling chainsaws except for me apparently and David. Okay, so and they kind of understand that, but the point is they got to practice. And that's the whole point. They're like, oh, it makes so much sense to me when you do it. Yeah, I know it does. Yeah, because I just did it for you, right? So you've got to try it yourself. And my whole goal in the classroom is not for them necessarily to understand it 100%. It's for them to go home with enough confidence to give it a shot on their own and then come in and ask for help later or come and ask you guys for help, right? If they can't quite get it. So these are the students' fears. When I do homework at 3 a.m., no one is available to help, of course, right? And I'm afraid to ask questions in class. This is a big deal, especially lately. And this time I'm teaching an honors section of a class. It's worse in honors. They're like sitting there going, I'm not asking a question. Everybody think I'm dumb. You know, that's crazy. When half of them can't even do the problem, right? They're not like, okay, so what do you do there? I get stuck easily on the homework. Of course, it's math, right? I can't go over every possible combination of all the numbers that could show up in a homework problem, right? So you're going to have to think about it if it changes a little bit. And that's something you probably deal with all the time. Because the students say, well, you changed it. Of course I changed it because we're assessing the same skill, but I have to change the numbers, and sometimes I have to change the scenario. It's called mathematics, right? We're trying to give you some critical reasoning skills, right? So I can't remember the steps to complete the problem. That's a common one, and I need more examples. Those are all. There's not enough time for them to see as many examples as I need to see to get comfortable to do the homework. So here's what I've been doing, and I've been doing this a couple of years. Integrity recordings, a lot of people do. And I'm going to show you an example. Actually, I'm not going to show you the example from that, but I'll tell you what I do, and I'll show you a snapshot from the next page. Camtasia, a lot of people use Camtasia. There are other things out there that do the same thing, basically. A video capture software program of some sort, and it's usually in the cloud. And, and it involves capturing video and audio. And it's what you'd write on your screen that they see, and also you can pull up other programs, right? That's commonly what people do. And by the way, everybody claims at CCBC, all the professors claim to do this all the time, and like, 2% of them do this, So it's one of those things, yeah, we do. I do integrity all the time. No, they don't do it at all. Pencast, lately I've been doing a lot. I went to a conference 2 years ago and saw this this presentation on pencast, sort of fell in love with them because they're not like the setup to do a integrity recording. It just takes a while to set it up. I got a camera to deal with on my laptop. I've got to make sure the audio is working on my laptop. I've got to plug in a bamboo tablet. Have you ever seen those? Just like a slate, and it has a little stylus, and it's just a big setup. The pen, I'm going to show you an excerpt from a pencast in a second, but the pen I can just pull out anywhere and write in a special notebook. It saves it to the pen, and I upload it later, and then it goes to a cloud site where the students, I can get a link and the students can see it. And I just post that link to my Blackboard site, and they can watch it 100 times, doesn't matter. And it doesn't tell me who's watching it. It just tells me how many times they're watching it. So I make videos of worked out solutions to homework problems and extra mathematics examples. And so this is an example of integrity recording, and it just is going to take too long for me to show the whole, like by the time it loads up. It's a pretty clunky system. I love it, but it is memory intensive, not like the pencast that you're about to see. So I've stopped using them so much. This used to be called Where in the World, this was a series called Where is Mr. Venn Solving a Math Problem? And so I've done these all over the place, and my students would, it was sort of a challenge to figure out where I am. Can anybody tell where I am? Can anybody tell where I am? I'm right in front, I'm right there, okay? And the tree that you can see is that one over there. So the students would get a kick out of figuring out where I was. I've done them from Starbucks. So anyway, if you've not seen this before, it's a video. And I used to do them without staring at the student, but a student gave me the idea, why don't you convince us like you're next to us? And so I let the video go. And it is a little odd to see my face sort of right up there, and it's a little bit close, but they can always click out of it if they don't like it, okay? So that can go away. And that's what I do when I watch them. I'm like, to proof them, I'm just like, I close out of them. But over here, I do the problem, and this is a completing the square problem, an infamously difficult problem for our students. I think it's the easiest thing in the world to teach because it can always be done the same way. But the students have the toughest time with that. And so I decided, look, I'm just going to post a problem. You can watch it as many times as you want. The technique does not change at all. So just watch it over and over again and get the steps down. So that's one method. The other method that I talked about was pencasts. And here's like, I got this right off the website of the pen I actually own. You write on a special notebook, and there's a play, a stop and a play and a record here and a fast forward. And you hit that with the pen, and suddenly you start recording. I'm going to show you it in a second. But suddenly you start recording, and then when you're done, you just upload it to their cloud site. There are other ways to do it, but I like to upload it to their cloud site so it's not clogging my computer. And then you can get a link to that pencast, and you put that in your Blackboard site or email it to a student. The student clicks on that link, and suddenly they got a little video with sound that takes them through the problem. Has anybody worked with pencast before? That would be excellent for, I mean, how many people are tired of showing the same problem? It's okay to admit this. I realize that's your job, but anybody tired of showing the same problem over and over again? Come on, tell me. Good, thanks for telling me the truth. Give me an example of a type of problem that you just go, oh, do I have to do this again?
Well, this semester I'm doing a lot of statistics students.
Right,
and
right.
This part of the semester, most of them are doing probability.
Right.
And so you're doing a lot of the same problems over and over, like binomial.
Binomial, yeah, geometric, yeah, okay. So if you could just post one, like the perfect example of a geometric model and how to compute geometric probability, that would be great. You do that with a pencast, and it would be, I think that's a good way to do it. Now, you wouldn't say, I'm sorry, I've already done that, we're not going to go over it, but you could give that student, or I suppose you could have a website that would have commonly, asked for problems, common problems that you can go over. Okay, so what I do is I like to turn everything into a Venn something. For example, I often characterize things I do as Ventastic, which is, so when you have a name like Venn, it kind of goes with a lot of different things. And so of course, I turned pencast into Venncast. And this is my take on a pencast, because a lot of people have a different take on it. So it's a completely fabricated, self-aggrandizing ripoff of the name pencast, right? Of course, right? That's what we're trying to do. But I try to post a pencast the same night if a student emails me by 7 p.m. with a specific homework question. Okay, so I tell them, 7 p.m., if you email me by then, it will be posted to your Blackboard. I won't say who asked for it. I'll just say, somebody asked for this problem, have fun. And they get an email saying there's something been posted, and some of them go and watch it. It's amazing. Half of them will have seen it by the next day, even those who didn't even do the homework. They're like, let me just go look at this. And the other thing was, this is something I've started to do, because when I used to do let's see, the integrity stuff, where's Mr. Venn solving a math problem? I would do retakes over and over again if it wasn't perfect, and that just is, I'm not making a movie here, right? This is just to help the student. So I stopped doing that, and now I let the ambient sounds be part of the pencast. If the baby cries in the middle of it, the baby cries in the middle of it, right? That's just the way it's going to be. If a pan drops in the other room, somebody's screaming, it just becomes part of the pencast. And that actually, I've had students say, what was that song in the background? You know, like there was some music in the background, and like, I want to know what the name of that song was. I loved it. You know, so they are interested in all sorts of things about you and your life, and so when that comes into it, even peripherally, they're interested in that too. So, and then there are no second or third takes, and that's the idea. Now let me see if I can show you one of these. Now notice that they see where you're going. See, I got clocks, and there's a clock going off, and I'm not going to stop it just because there's a clock going off, right? So notice how they can see what's coming up. And what's the coolest about this is, let's say they're bored with me, because I'm already bored with me. They can just click, see that red dot? Anywhere that red dot is, you can just go ahead and click, and it'll go forward. So they see where you're going, and if they want to go up there, they just go up there.
X equals 1/4.
Okay. And so
again, I would never
you can imagine how useful this is, because the sound is so clear. You can even hear the pen,
The easiest way to solve this
which I think is kind of cool. But you can hear the actual pen.
is by factoring.
They know you're
X
actually
on the
writing with the
left-hand
pen.
side, you get 4x.
So is this something that you think that you could use? I know that is this something people have talked about?
X is 0. And
Okay, because what you could do is you're helping a student with a common problem that you've helped with, you know, maybe 3 people that day with. And you can just say, okay, well, let's go ahead and record this. And you can even record their questions about it, because that'll add to the recording. They're like, oh, how'd you get that? Well, I got this. And that, you can hear the person's voice, and so they'll just add to the recording. Then you can upload it to a common site, and then everybody can have that forever, you know.